Well, okay. Then tell us what was happening here.
Right. The first part here is there could be a psychological content if you have unresolved issues in the past, guilt, trauma, various things like that can cause what I call core images, which are shadowy areas in your psyche, in your being, which can exist anywhere in your body. And if you have something like this, these are the primary areas, core images, where negative entities will attach to, and in a way hide in. A core image creates like a shadow in your in your being, and they exist in them and are attracted by these shadows. So a part of the process of removing these core images and taking yourself out of the reach of astral entities is to through resolving traumas and issues psychologically or with other methods, like I've given my book Practical Psychic Self-Defense with the core image removal work. But the experience you give there, in part, the first part appears to be some kind of astral initiation, where you are being examined by, you could say, advanced beings. And the second part where the ceiling disappeared and then you saw these giant astral spiders. Why did it have to be spiders? Astral spiders and snakes are so common.
Well, I think it's because they wanted to scare you. It was effective. It worked.
Oh, yes, very much so. I mean, if a being is trying to telepathically implant something in your mind to scare you, spiders, snakes, things like that are, naturally scary things. But they also, they could be astral spiders, actually astral beings, which may not actually be like spiders, but you could say in your mind's eye, when you see them with astral sight in the astral, the energy of these beings, which they could be just little blobs like jellyfish, when your mind perceives them, it translates that energy into an image of a spider. And spiders are things which build webs and bite and suck, energy out of, or blood out of things. So
now you said wait a minute, Robert, just a second. You said little blobs like jellyfish, and that has a particularly interesting resonance for me. I want to ask you, I've got a burning question to ask about that, and I'm going to do that in just a minute. This is Whitley Strieber, it's Dreamland. We'll be right back. This is Whitley Strieber, it's Dreamland. We're back talking to Robert Bruce, The Real Deal, his book Mastering Astral Projection. It will work, because this man does know what he's talking about. He wouldn't be on this program if he didn't. I know he knows what he's talking about because I've had experiences in the astral because of him. And extraordinary experiences. And he's really one of the only people I've ever connected with in quite this way, and I think you're going to connect with it too. You can do this. It's very doable. It's possible to have a life that is bigger than a physical life. This other world that he's talking about is very, very real. It's huge. It's complex. It's right here, and you're part of it. You can notice your place in it with Robert's work. Successful astral projection. You can do it. You can do it. If you take the time, this book, it's extremely well worked out in this thing. You can use this, not gobbledygook. It's not abstruse. It's got a great CD with it, all kinds of things. Now, Robert, before we left the air, I asked, you had mentioned that sometimes these astral beings may just be like a little blob of something. Okay, let me tell you another story. I was lying in bed and reading. My wife was reading beside me. And suddenly this entity came racing across the room toward me. It was a blob, just like you described, but moving very quickly. and I grabbed the table beside the bed and hurled the table at it with all of my might, shattered the table. My wife threw her book up in the air, screamed bloody murder, and the thing disappeared. Now, that's not the end of the story. The next day, my brother telephoned me and said to me, something bizarre has happened, Whitley. I was playing my guitar in bed and suddenly saw this strange entity at the foot of the bed. I threw my guitar at it, and this morning when I woke up, I found in the top window of the window frame a neatly round hole cut with 3 shards of glass taken out of it and the glass put to one side. And I have a feeling this has something to do with you, because I feel a message, and the message was that if you're not careful, somebody could get hurt. And I don't know anything about what this means. Incredibly, a few hours later, a friend of mine telephoned who had been away from his house, had come home, and had opened his locked apartment, and there lying on the floor in the doorway were 3 shards of glass. And he called me and said, I think I'm calling you and I don't know why, except I think they have something to do with you. Now, this is an astral experience of some kind for all 3 of us. How do you react to it? What was this little blob of entity that caused so much brouhaha in our lives, and why?
That's bizarre.
Isn't it wonderful?
I really don't know what. Yeah, especially the physical evidence. It's
oh, I know it.
I really don't know what the entity is.
The astral and the physical were coming together as one world at that point, I think.
Yeah, there are crossovers, and I mean, certain beings do seem to have the ability to shift from one dimension to the other, and that includes extraterrestrials and some astral beings. So I've long had a theory that a lot of extraterrestrials use the astral dimension for like a kind of hyperspace to travel through undetected, but also to study us. You know, you have a powerful, controlled astral projection into the perfect means by which to study anything, because you're invisible.
Now, your book. Go ahead.
Yeah, so what the entity is, I really don't know. It's it's a hard one to work out. But the fact that it affected 3 different places, your brother and that other person there, is amazing.
So okay, so it is amazing. Now let me ask you this: when you travel astrally, where do you go? What's it like?
Oh, various places. The majority of astral projections I do today are devoted to healing and helping people. I have a long to-do list with people who need help in various ways. Some of them have entity problems, some of them have health problems, and I do a lot of healing in the astral. And it's a very powerful medium by which to do that. And I do a little bit of exploring occasionally, but mainly healing, and is what I do now.
When you go
I plan to get back to
go ahead.
Exploring another time.
Now, when you go into the astral to heal somebody, what's it like? Describe the experience.
The experience it's very real, but it also has a surreal quality. Gravity is different, the light is different, and if you are in real time, what I call the real time zone, there's a very close resemblance to the physical dimension. But as you drift away from that, it changes, and bears no relationship to the physical universe. For example, if I go and visit somebody in the astral, I will, if I don't know exactly where they are, I will ask to be taken to them. and my higher self